Hello everyone, I am Husna K, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Sociology from Econ Development Center, Majalis Arts and Science College, Autonomous, Puramannur. Today I am going to discuss about the socio-religious reform movements that happened in India around 19th century. By listening to this session, you will be able to understand various socio-religious reform movements that existed in India around 19th century, and you will be able to understand various notable socio-reformers and leaders who were existed in India, and you will be also able to understand the legacy and the contributions made by these reform movements in India. When we come to the introduction, these socio-religious reform movements were the efforts to improve our Indian society by promoting education and to bring gender equality, to assert independence from colonial rule, and to eliminate the caste system, and to curb all the socio-evils issues are existed in India. To eliminate all social evils that existed in India. And there were various leaders who got educated from the outside of India, and these reformers like Rajaram Mohan Roy, Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, Henry Vivian de Rosio, who together systematically aimed to eliminate all these social issues and to improve and to make a better Indian society here. The next we are going to discuss is the factors or causes that led to the emergence of these socio-religious reform movements. The first factor is there existed so many social evils in India, like there were existed sati, parda system, child marriage, untouchability, and there were so many issues that made by these caste systems. The next factor that led to the emergence of these reform movements is Western impact. British or Western impact is always superior to Indian culture. They contributed or introduced so many Western ideas like rationalism, humanism, equality, fraternity here. And the next factor is Western education or English education. This modern Western education also awakened Indians by introducing so many progressive ideas, and they exposed the social evil practices like sati existed here to the Indians. The next factor is the British rule or administration always created a favorable atmosphere or condition for the emergence of these reform movements. For example, the freedom of press. They contributed or they spread these progressive ideas to the Indians very largely. The first reform movement we are going to discuss is Arya Samaj. This movement introduced by Swami Dayananda Saraswati in 1875 at Bombay, and his motto was back to the Vedas. He was against the idol worship, polytheism, and against the caste system, and he worked a lot for the improvement of the Indian society, and he made or conducted a Shuddhi movement to bring back those Hindus who were always converted to other religions in the earlier section. The Arya Samaj has been started in Bombay, though it spread to Punjab and other parts of India very soon. And this movement also helped to the spread of education, and this movement also helped to the spread of nationalism among Indians. The next movement we are going to discuss is Brahma Samaj. This movement started by Rajaram Mohan Roy in Bombay around 1828, and he was systematically started a campaign to modernize India, and he was against idol worship, and he started a campaign to support or favorable the conditions of widows by contributing to their widow remarriages, and he abolished the practice of sati with the help of the Governor General of British William Bentinck in 1829. The next movement we are going to discuss is Prarthana Samaj. This movement introduced by Dr. Atmaram Pandurang in 1867, and this movement is an offshoot of Brahma Samaj. It was a reform movement within Hinduism and concentrated on social issues like interdining, polytheism, polygamy, and the upliftment of women and deprived classes. And leaders like R.G. Bandarkar, Ranade, who come to this movement and infused a new strength to this movement. The next movement we are going to discuss is Satyashodak Samaj. This is a social reform society introduced or started by Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra with his wife Savitribai Phule, and they were both the pioneers in the spread and promoted women's education, especially from deprived classes. And he coined the term Dalits to refer to all those who pressed under the caste system, and they both together worked a lot for the upliftment of women's and deprived classes and for their education also in this society through this Satyashodak Samaj. They promoted the concepts like humanism, unity, equality, brotherhood, and the non-requirement of middlemen in the religious matters. He was always stand against the caste system and the orthodoxy of Brahmin peoples in this society, and this society also rejected Aryan culture, Upanishad, and the predominance of Aryan society, because according to him the Aryan society always trying to depress or deprive the non-Aryan peoples in the country. The next movement is Aligarh movement. This movement founded by Sir Said Ahmad Khan to end all the socio-religious issues existed among the Muslim community in India, and he always trying to produce an intellectual class from the Muslim community among Indians, and the main center of Aligarh movement was in Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh. Then let's look at the objectives of Aligarh movement. This movement trying to create an atmosphere of mutual understanding between British government and Indians, and this movement persuading the Muslims to learn English education and to persuade Muslims to abstain from the politics of agitation and to produce an intellectual class among the Muslim community in India. Let's look at the outcomes or contributions made by the Aligarh movement. The political emancipation of Muslims in India was mainly contributed by the Aligarh movement, and Aligarh movement was highly influenced the Muslim community than other communities in India, and there were so many educational institutions like Jamia Millia Islamia, Osmania University, Dhaka University, and there were so many educational institutions like Osmania University, Jamia Millia Islamia, Dhaka University, Aligarh University were all the contributions of Aligarh movement. The next movement is Ramakrishna Mission. This movement started by Swami Vivekananda. He was the most famous disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He was born in a very prosperous Bengali family in Calcutta. He condemned the caste system and the current Hindu emphasis on complicated rituals and ceremonies. He asked the people to improve the lives of the deprived and depressed classes, and his main motto was service to mankind is the service to God. Let's conclude this session by rewinding all these reform movements once again, and we discussed about the socio-religious reform movements that happened in India around 19th century by various leaders, reformers like Rajaram Mohan Roy, Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, Henry Vivian de Rosio, Sir Said Ahmad Khan, and etc. And these reform movements made a lasting and huge impact on the Indian society by creating a national awakening among Indians, and this movement created a nationalism or national feeling among Indians. These reform movements made a huge and lasting impact on the Indian society by creating a national awakening among Indians. These reform movements made a national awakening and they made a thought of nationalism among Indians. And these movements also made an onslaught on the indignities committed against women, and these movements created a rational thinking among Indians, and they also attacked on the rigid characters of caste system. Thank you.